Imagine your 5-year-old self in a toy shop with your parents. I mean, you're going around trying to pick a toy. You haven't actually picked a particular toy yet, but then your parents give you a box. Right there in the store, they get you a box that is meant to help you to keep your toy, right? So you haven't gotten the toys yet, but you get a box that is meant to keep your toy in. That's like declaring the box, right? You don't have the toy yet. You know that the box is for the toy, is for your toy, but you don't know which toy yet. You haven't gotten the exact toy. So, like I said, that's like declaring the box. When you now get a toy and put it in the box, that's like initializing, right? You are now filling the box with something. You are now initializing the box. That's exactly how it works in JavaScript. Declaring a variable in JavaScript is like telling JavaScript, I need a container, give me a container. JavaScript gives you the container. You might or you might not, depending on the situation and the keywords you're using, you might or might not decide to put a value inside that container yet. But once you get that container, you are declaring that container. When you put a value in it, then you are initializing the container. Okay, so we have a variable, toy box. Toy box is like an empty variable. We have declared this variable toy box, but there's nothing inside it. There's no value inside it. JavaScript knows that toy box exists, but it doesn't know what is inside because we've not put anything inside. So at this point, you are declaring a variable. Initialization is when you now take your empty box, your empty toy box, which is your variable, and you put something inside it. And now the box is no longer empty. Let's say toy box equals to teddy bear. Okay, good. So now we have a toy inside teddy bear. We have a toy inside toy box rather. So we have teddy bear inside toy box. So we have initial at this point we declared. At this point now we are initializing with a value. So you are telling JavaScript now that I have created a container called toy box, and now I am putting teddy bear inside toy box. That's majorly the difference between declaring a variable and initializing a variable in JavaScript. Now, the behavior is different depending on the keyword you're using to declare the variable. For example, if we use var to declare this variable instead of let, your variable gets declared here, right? When it's declared, it doesn't really have an empty value per se. What JavaScript does, especially because it's declared with the var keyword, is that it gives it a temporary value called undefined. So if I console the log toy box here, and I run my code, I'm going to get undefined because after it has been declared, JavaScript assigns an undefined value to it. Like, I know this exists, but it's not defined because you haven't put a value in it. But if I come to check it after putting a value in it here, because now it has been initialized here, right? I have actually put a real value in it. So if I check it afterwards, let me remove this. If I check it afterwards, node test, I will get my value teddy bear because now I have intentionally initialized my variable, right? And that is how the var keywords behave with initializing and declaring variable. Now let's change this to let. Let's change this to let. Let me come and use it before I initialize it with a value. So I declare it on line 1. I'm trying to call it on line 2. Let me clear this and then run node test. So just like var, it also gets an initial undefined value. If I bring it down after initializing with a value, I get my value teddy bear. Now let's try to use consts. With const is a bit different. You can see that we already have an error here. It says const declarations must be initialized. That is because with const, you must initialize your variable at the time of declaration. Const will not allow you to go and come back. No, the minute you are buying a box for your toy, you better put something into that toy box immediately. So with const, you cannot declare and then move to another line to initialize. If you are declaring, you have to initialize immediately. So this is how it works for const. So I have a whole video on major differences between varlet and const. But in terms of initialization and declaration of variables, these are like the major difference, right? So var can be declared and initialized later. And once it is declared, it has a temporary undefined value. Let has the same behavior. But with const, once you declare your variable, you have to initialize it with a value. So I believe you know the differences between declaration and initialization. So in very, very, very simple terms, declaration is literally buying a box for your toy without putting any box in it yet, while initialization is actually putting a box in your toy and putting a toy rather putting a toy in your box. I hope it makes sense. So if you were the one that asked this question, that's the major difference between JavaScript declaration and initialization. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notification for more tech and coding content. See you in my next video.